Alright, hello. We are back with another Yapatron 9000 video. These videos are going to be me yapping about random topics in MMA. So if you're here for predictions, there's no UFC on this week. It's over, you know. I'm going insane. I'm looking at my walls just praying Ian Gary loses because I'm not a supporter of him. I'm not going to be biased in my predictions video next week, but I will pick who I think is going to win. I'm going to try to leave bias aside out of it. But for this week, we're going over the lowest IQ fighters in UFC. And I'm not going to do PFL because there's not many there, but we might do that in the future. But this is going to be strictly UFC, or even some of these guys are either moving to PFL or came from PFL. So maybe it might be like a bit in between. PFL slash Bellator, since they're the one entity now. So, first up, disclaimer. I don't hate any of these fighters. Although I might talk bad about them. I genuinely like them as people, bar one. I genuinely think all of them are great fighters, bar one. And I'll talk about who that one is, but I'll say it when I get to him. You know what I mean? But every one of these fighters, loved them, supported them all of the time I've been watching UFC. I hope to see them win. If they don't win, then I'll be sad. So just moving on forward with that in mind. Just know I don't hate any of these guys, bar one. So moving on. Number 5, Holly Holm. That fight with Kayla Harrison made me question everything. The history of the women's division. This person was a champion at one point, you know what I mean? Now, you have to bear in mind she was 37, I think, heading into that fight with Kayla Harrison. But age doesn't excuse IQ going down, I don't think, unless you get like severe CTE. Holly Holm, the world-class kickboxer, decides to wrestle Olympic judo / wrestling champion. Make it make sense, you know? I don't understand what the game plan was going into that fight. I don't know what she was thinking. I don't know if it was the coach telling her to do that. Maybe they doubted Kayla Harrison's ability since it was her first UFC fight. So they thought she would be like just a pushover, not on her level. She's not bad compared to the rest. I would maybe swap some around, maybe, I don't know. But I'd leave Holly Holm at number 5. She's not the stupidest. I don't mean stupid as in stupid, I mean low fight IQ. She's had moments of genius IQ, but not recently, no. But Holly Holm, number 5, I think that's a solid place for her. Number 4, I think number 5 and number 4 could really be a matter of opinion if you want to swap them around. But I think number 4 has lower IQ purely because Sean Strickland refuses to incorporate any form of grappling in his style, even though it would actually make sense considering his style. His style's like a Philly shell kickboxing hybrid. Imagine with that, like with the jab to teep, imagine you incorporate a takedown threat. Like, it would open up so much more shots for Sean to land. But he decides to not use it at all because he deems it gay. Now, there's nothing wrong with that, but I'm using his words. It's idiotic is the term. I don't really hate Sean Strickland. I think he's just, like, the way he was raised really affected him. I don't blame him off that. He's a bit of a prick sometimes, but again, I think he's bipolar. So we'll just go off of that. It doesn't excuse the fact that he just refuses to incorporate like a solid half of what makes martial arts, you know what I mean? it's just sad. Because I genuinely think if he incorporated grappling, he could have beat Dricus. I think. If he just got one takedown, backed off, jab teep, haymaker, whatever he was throwing, then another takedown. Doesn't matter if he gets them, but just control time. I genuinely think they could have given him the win after that Dricus fight. First one, but not the second one. The second one was a travesty. I think Dricus figured out Sean Strickland's style and kind of exposed him. Or maybe it was the mustache, who knows. And in that, speaking of the second Dricus fight, in that second fight, he was really scared to throw first. I don't know what was wrong with him. He just seemed not... What's the word? Not willing to, like, get a hit off. You know what I mean? He was scared of what was coming back at him. Like, Dricus, like, probably had no fear at Strickland's power anymore since he was in there with Adesanya. And Adesanya hits fairly hard recently. So I think Dricus just knew, okay, I'm going to let him hit me just to get a hit off. And we saw what happened. His nose was busted. You know? He got battered for the first 2, 3, 4, I'd say. 1 was fairly competitive. 5 was alright. But still, I'd have it 5-0 Dricus, you know. The first round was the only round that was like relatively close for Sean. But aside from that, it's either 4-1 or 5-0 Dricus. And we might be seeing the end of Sean Strickland, you know. Unless he comes back and like gets like a new fire is found with him. But from what I know, he's abandoned Eric Nixick. And I think he's just training with his friends now. So that's kind of sad. I hope whoever's training him now, if they're an actual coach, just force Sean to do grappling. Because I think that's the only thing holding him back. He had that one fight with Abu Magomedov, I believe. He actually incorporated grappling in that and he got the finish. You know? He just never decided to use that ever again. Because no, you can't have anything easy. He has to like struggle for everything. Oh, it's annoying. It genuinely is very annoying seeing his career. Alright, I'm going to move on because I don't want this video to be over 15 minutes. Alright, moving on. Number 3, Kelvin Gastelum. This guy, man. That fight with Adesanya was embarrassing. Not embarrassing because he almost won, but he shot that one takedown when Adesanya was probably 3 hits away from being out-called. And then allowed Adesanya to recover and get the decision win. Like, where was the urgency? Did someone in his corner yell, shoot a takedown, or was that him out of instinct? You know? I don't really know why he did it. I don't know if it was a coaching problem, a him problem, or a cardio problem. Probably cardio, to be honest. Speaking of cardio, he refuses to get in shape. And his cardio looks decent. It's alright. But he's 5'9" at middleweight. For reference, Torres Finney is near the same height as Kelvin Gastelum. But the amount of muscle Torres Finney packs on. Not saying he's a great fighter, but just saying Torres Finney makes up for his lack of height for just genuine size. Kelvin Gastelum doesn't. He's a bit chubby. He's a bit chubby. He's not super chubby, but for a fighter, like a fighter's physique, he is a bit chubby. Just being real. Like, this photo was actually doing him favours. This photo of him. You can barely see the six-pack. The arms are kind of developed. But this is a photo doing him a lot of favours. And probably photoshopped. It's just sad to see, because he had so much potential. So much potential. If you can rock Adesanya, like, imagine, like, if his power was hitting lightweights or something, you know? And imagine, he'd be considered a short lightweight nowadays. Now, back in, like, 2015, 2014, he might have been considered, like, an average-sized lightweight. But nowadays, there's, like, 6'1" guys being lightweights, you know? And he's 5'8" in middleweight. 3 weight classes above it, I believe. No, 2, actually, sorry. But, like, what is it? Like, 85? 30 pounds heavier. Does he actually cut weight for his camps, or is this like a thing he does, just stay the same weight? I don't know. It's moronic. I think he fought a welterweight, but like I think he's missed weight a couple times there. I don't know. Maybe it's a health thing. I don't know. Alright, moving on. Cody Garbrandt. This upsets me. Genuinely, seeing Cody Garbrandt here genuinely upsets me. I wish he was the GOAT, you know? I said it to my friends when he won that fight with Dominic Cruz. Cody Garbrandt might be the future GOAT. Boy, I was wrong. You know, he had that legendary performance. One of the best performances you'll ever see against Dominic Cruz. That 25 minutes. I don't know if he got the knockout, I can't remember. But 25 minutes of sheer greatness. And then I think he maybe let it get to his head. He had the greatest head movement in that fight with Dominic Cruz. Greatest head movement. And then he fights TJ Dillashaw. I don't know anymore. He fought TJ Dillashaw. There was zero head movement. He decided to swing with the steroid head. It's sad. It's so sad. Because I actually really like Cody Garbrandt. I don't know anyone that dislikes him. Like, he's a genuinely really good dude. A bit stupid, but really solid dude. It's just that one fight with Dominic Cruz got everyone's hopes up, and then that fight with TJ Dillashaw just... It's so sad. And then he decides to cut down to 125. 125. He was tall for bantamweight. You know, he's taller than Kelvin Gastelum, who's at a middleweight. And he decides to move down a weight class. And he almost unalived himself doing it. I can't say the other word because YouTube doesn't like that. But he almost unalived himself making flyweight. It's so sad. So sad. There's not really much else to say. Oh yeah, he got chinned at bantamweight, moves down to flyweight to fight like people with less power, and decides to fight Kai Kara France. Of all people to fight at flyweight, you decide to fight Kai Kara France because you're getting chinned at bantamweight. The hardest hitting flyweight probably of all time. I don't remember anyone else. But, Jesus, like, who's your manager? Get him sacked. I would love to see Cody Garbrandt fight, like, who could he fight at flyweight right now that's like a pillow puncher? Tatsuya Taire or something. Someone with grappling. You know? I think Cody Garbrandt, if he's staying at flyweight, I don't know if he's moving back to 135. I would like to see him move to 145. I think 145 would be a decent move for him. Because there's not that many hard hitters at the lower level of 145, bar Danny Gay and Josh Emmett. But you can avoid them. You can easily avoid them. You can like fight someone else. But I would like to see him move to 135 or 145, you know? So I just like that for him. I don't want to see him do a 125 fight ever again. That, like, I actually was worried for his well-being in the middle of that fight. It was so scary. Because he didn't know if he was going to pass out. Like, I think when we saw him make the scale, he, like, nearly fell over trying to get on it. It was genuinely scary. So I think he should move back to 135 or 145. Don't attempt 125 again. Please. Alright, moving on. Honourable mention. Yuri Prohaska. And the reason why I'm putting him in honourable mention is because, as we've seen with his last fight with Jamal Hill, he's getting smarter. He's still evolving. People forget he's only like 31. He can still evolve right now. Like, I'd say with his like genetics, I say he can go prime. I think he's in his prime right now. I think he can like hold that on until he's 35 and then start to dip down. So we got 4 years of prime Yuri Prohaska. The light heavyweight division is in for a reckoning. You know? Because he's getting smarter. B, he's not using his skull as a shield. You know, he's not blocking punches with his skull. I think that Pereira fight, even though he lost that fight, he learned a lot. It was a lesson. It was like a humble. It was like a humbling. I don't even know if that's a word. But he got humbled by Pereira. And that let him learn and get smarter. And I genuinely think fight IQ Prohaska might dominate the division when Pereira's gone. I still think he loses to Pereira over just genuine power. But anyone else like Ankalaev, Carlos Ulberg Jr., Cahill Roundtree, I'll just say a name. He batters them all now. Because Jamal Hill ruled that division for a while. And now Yuri Prohaska just demolished Jamal Hill. There wasn't a single minute of a single round you can give Jamal Hill. In my opinion. But that's just my opinion. Alright, moving on. And our number one lowest IQ fighter in history. It is, drumroll please. If I decide to edit in a drumroll, maybe I will, maybe I won't. Depends if I'm lazy or not. Michael Chandler! What a man. What a legend, you know? Let me just get into Michael Chandler right now. This guy ruled Bellator / PFL for years. Comes to UFC. I don't know who he beat in his first fight. I think it was Dan Hooker, I believe. Beats Dan Hooker quite comfortably. Knockout, you know. Then I think he fights Justin Gaethje. Gets battered. I think it went to decision. Then he fights Dustin Poirier. Oh wait, no. He fought Tony Ferguson after Gaethje, I believe. I think. Then he fought Poirier, and Jesus Christ, the amount of cheating he done in that fight. It was disgraceful. And then ever since that Dustin Poirier fight and a bit in the Gaethje fight, he has just been on a streak of cheating. Every single fight he's had, the Oliveira one and including the Paddy Pimblett one, blatant cheating, but no consequences from the ref. So maybe it's not a low IQ moment. Maybe it's a high IQ, because he knows the ref won't do anything. But the reason he's here is because he throws only haymakers when he's in there with some of the best boxers in the UFC. And now, bear in mind, it did work for a bit with Dustin Poirier and maybe Gaethje, but not really to a degree. But with Charles Oliveira, who's not necessarily the best boxer in the UFC, he got pieced up by Charles Oliveira. You know? Paddy Pimblett pieced him up. You know, it's... If Paddy Pimblett is piecing you up on the feet, you know, that's sort of like a indication, like, okay, maybe I should, like, work on something. But he's 38 years old. He's been waiting for 2 years straight for Conor McGregor to finally wake up from his nap in the courtroom. But it's so sad, because we could have seen this guy got exposed 2 years ago, but we've had to sit here and listen to him go to random events and just scream, Conor McGregor, fight me if you dare. You know, that's that sort of shit. Like trying to cut a WWE promo. Jesus Christ. He annoys me. He's the only fighter that like genuinely annoys me, and he's so fake. He acts like he's this big nice guy. When you see in all his fights, he's blatantly cheating. He's doing everything in his can to injure his opponents. And I don't mean just hurt them, I mean injure, like John Jones level, I'm gonna kill you energy, you know what I mean? He just seems so fake, you know? And then he goes in these interviews and says, oh, I don't know why everyone's saying I'm a cheater, like, it was just the heat of the moment. Because you're doing it back to back to back to back to back. He's going on this streak of just blatant cheating and then just going, I don't know what everyone's talking about. You know, Conor McGregor, you know? It's so annoying. He's just annoying. And I was pissed off after that Oliveira fight when people started standing up and giving him a standing ovation. Including Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan is not innocent yet, right? I have words for Joe Rogan. But later video. We won't get off topic right now. I'm going to go back to his low IQ. This guy's just stupid, man. He's just so stupid. no matter what game plan he like creates for a fight, he will find every single way possible to completely fuck it up and just throw random haymakers and pray to God something lands. And it went well for him sometimes in the Dustin Poirier fight and sometimes in the Dan Hooker and Tony Ferguson one. But Dan Hooker was never really elite level and Tony Ferguson is washed. You know what I mean? I think the fight to make for him right now is the Dan Hooker rematch. You know? That's the last ranked opponent I can see being a genuinely okay matchup for Michael Chandler. Dan Hooker needs a fight. He's waiting for something. He's broke his hand. He was meant to fight Justin Gaethje, but, you know, I genuinely think Michael Chandler versus Dan Hooker would probably be an alright matchup since he's already beaten him. But I don't even see him beating him in the rematch, you know, with the age, you know. I think, honestly, right now, Chandler should either get guaranteed a Conor fight or retire. Because I don't even think Conor would want to fight him anymore after the performance with Paddy Pimblett. I think Conor might actually try chances arm at getting a Paddy Pimblett fight. It's just sad. It's so sad, man. So yeah, that's been my rant about these fighters and their IQ. Just a reminder, I don't hate anybody in this list besides Michael Chandler. I do genuinely dislike Michael Chandler. I hope he retires. I don't want to watch him fight again. Maybe I do want to watch him fight again. I don't know. I want to see Michael Chandler fight Ngannou. I think that's the fight to make. I think, you know, honestly, I can see Michael Chandler versus Tom Aspinall being a great fight, you know? Like 15-minute rounds, no referee. Be a great fight, I think. Let's see if Michael Chandler could cheat his way in that fight. It's just sad. So, give him Ngannou. That's really it. Just give him Ngannou. Send him to the... You know, actually, Michael Chandler might be sent to the PFL now. Watch him become a champion PFL. That'd be kind of embarrassing for PFL. Like, the biggest loser in UFC goes on to be a champion in PFL. No, don't get me wrong, there's some genuine, like, killers in PFL. Like Paul Hughes and Usman Nurmagomedov. But everyone else is just kind of average. Like, they're yet to evolve. It's either fighters on the come-up evolving, or fighters who have refused to evolve, and are kind of just stuck in the average zone. You know what I mean? I don't really see anything else for Michael Chandler. So that's about it. I'm going to leave it here. I've already yapped for way too long. Next week, or sometime, maybe in like a few days, I'm going to release my predictions video for Ian Gary versus Carlos Prates. I almost said Shavkat there. I'm living in the past. I have an opinion on that fight, which I think will be very unpopular, but it's just genuinely what I believe will happen. So stay tuned, you know. There's a lot of sleeper like fights on the Ian Gary card. I genuinely think it's a really good card. Or maybe that just could be me. Who knows? But I'm really looking forward to it. I hope yous are all looking forward to it. It's a great card. I'm going to leave it there. Stop yapping. Well, this is the series called the Yapatron, but I'm going to leave it there. Alright. See you next week. See ya.